What was so holy, so fearsome, that even the seraphim veiled their faces? What was so terrible, that even heaven did not dare speak its name in the open? What if the very wheels beneath the throne of God were alive, burning, watching you? Have you ever wondered, what watches the watchers? What if the whisper behind the thunder, the eye behind the veil, the ring of flame that turns and turns and turns, was never meant for man to see? And yet someone did. A man whose feet stood on the threshold of the divine storm. A man taken beyond stars. A man who heard the sound of the wheels and lived. Beneath the thunderclouds of Eden's exile, beyond the gates that turn on flaming hinges, there is a memory buried in ash and echo of beings not called angel, nor demon, nor man. They are not spoken of. They are remembered in fragments. A wheel inside a wheel. Eyes inside eyes. Flame inside silence. They do not move, they are moved. They do not serve, they carry. They do not speak, and yet the heavens shake when they pass. And still the heavens waited. Through the windswept dreams of prophets and the haunted breath of exiles, they return, not in words, but in weight, not in voice, but in vision, terrible, glorious, living wheels that surround the throne. They are the Ophanim, and what Enoch saw was not meant for the sons of men. But now, so many years buried beneath flood and fire, the memory rises again, and the wheels begin to turn. If your spirit feels this calling, walk with us now. Stay close. This was meant for you to hear. Let what was once forgotten be remembered again. Let the story begin. In the year when the heavens turned their face away from man, and the exile of the holy had begun, there was a wind, not like other winds. It did not howl, nor cry, nor rage across the plains. It hovered, a weightless dread, a breath held in the chest of the earth, and beneath that hush, the river Chebar rolled onward silent, like a procession of forgotten tears. Here, in Babylonian dust, a priest named Ezekiel sat among the captives. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from something he could not yet name. A pressure in the soul, a stirring in the bones. The sky above him was not merely sky, it was a veil stretched thin, and on that day the veil tore. It did not open with trumpet or thunderclap, it split with light, and not a light that comforts, but a light that burns amber and flame, turning within itself. Fire, enfolded by fire, like a blossom of judgment blooming backwards, and from the heart of that fire came a form, or many forms. Faces like a man and a lion and an eagle and an ox, all shimmering, all terrible, all alive with the sound of rushing. 4 living creatures, their wings touching, their movements not turning. They did not turn, for they faced every way at once. But Ezekiel's eyes, those haunted eyes that would never see the world the same again, did not rest on the creatures. No, his gaze was drawn lower, yet higher. Beneath the wings of the living ones were wheels, not wheels as a chariot might bear, but something else. A wheel within a wheel, not rolling, rotating, not on the earth but beside it, not held but hovering. Their rims were dreadful, their rings were full of eyes. Eyes not drawn, not painted but watching, alive, gazing into the place where thoughts form before the tongue dares speak. The wheels turned, but not of their own accord. They moved as the creatures moved. The creatures moved as the Spirit moved. And the Spirit moved as heaven willed. And still the heavens waited. Ezekiel did not cry out. He could not. For the air itself had become a voice not of words, but of knowing. It filled him, broke him, reformed him. What he saw was not meant for the world. Not for kings or scribes or priests, it was meant for the soul that remembers Eden, for the soul that grieves its forgetting. And so the vision rose. Above the creatures, above the wheels, above the wind and the flame, and the eyes that did not blink, there was a throne. And upon the throne, a likeness, a form, human, yet more than man. From the waist up, gleaming metal, fire encased in lightning, from the waist down, flame descending, and all around radiance, like a rainbow born from morning clouds. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord, not the form, but the likeness, the echo of what glory might look like if glory could be seen, and the wheels bore it. I carried it, upheld it, not with strength, but with surrender, not as slaves, but as extensions of divine will. The wheels had no mouths, and yet they spoke. Their motion was language, their fire was remembrance, their eyes bore witness to 1,000 generations, and still did not dim. They turned, not because they chose to turn, but because they were one with the Spirit. Not near it, not beside it, one. Where the Spirit went, they went. When the Spirit rose, they rose. When the Spirit rested, they hovered watching. Have you ever felt the weight of being watched? Not with malice, nor curiosity, but holiness. And still, the heavens waited. There was no command, no proclamation, no demand. Only presence, holy presence. And in the face of such presence, Ezekiel fell, not from fear, but from reverence, from the soul's ancient memory that this is what was lost in Eden. This is what I walked in the garden in the cool of the day. This is what turned away when man turned within. The vision burned into his soul like a branding from the stars. The wheels turned, and he turned with them, never to walk the same earth again. For once you have seen the Ophanim, the world no longer spins. It turns, and the wind did not stop. Even as Ezekiel collapsed upon the soil, face down in the ash of exile, the wind remained, not to lift, not to comfort, but to witness. For the breath of the Spirit is not like the breath of man. It does not come and go with lungs or seasons. It hovers, it remembers, it circles. He lay there, silent. His hands are buried in Babylonian dust, but his spirit drifts in the currents of something older, something beyond the rivers and towers and chains of his world. For the wheels had opened more than heaven, they had opened memory, the deep memory, the first memory, the sound of light moving before the world was formed, the hush that covered the waters when the Spirit brooded. That same hush had returned, the creatures had not spoken, the form upon the throne had not moved, and yet all had been said. There are languages without syllables. There are commands that thunder without sound. What Ezekiel received was not vision alone, but weight, the holy weight, the kavod. It pressed upon him like the sky kneeling on his chest. But it was not cruelty. It was consecrated. He was being marked not by hand or ink, but by knowing, the kind of knowing that cannot be learned. It must be given, and it must be born. He would rise, but not as he was. The fire had taken root in him, not a consuming fire, but a revealing one. It did not destroy, it uncovered. And what it uncovered was a soul chosen to see what others could not bear, a soul not preserved from suffering, but called to it. Because some visions are burdens, sacred ones. And still the heavens waited. When at last Ezekiel lifted his face, the sky had closed but not forgotten. The vision had vanished, but the silence remained, a silence that throbbed with divine memory. Every stone, every reed of rivergrass now trembled with afterglow. The creatures, the eyes, the throne, the turning wheels, they were gone from sight, but not from presence. Because presence is not limited to the visible. Have you ever stood in a room after something holy has passed through? Have you felt the walls lean inward, the air sharpen, the floor hum beneath your feet? He had. He would never forget. And now, he was a prophet. But not a prophet of easy riddles or sweet speech. He had not seen a ladder to heaven. He had not seen angels with trumpets or dreams of beasts alone. He had seen something deeper, something beneath the divine. The machinery of heaven, the carriers of glory, the terrifying infrastructure of the throne, the Ophanim, And what are they? Wheels, yes, but alive. Eyes, yes, but without face. Spirits, yes, but not as men know spirit. They are not sent, they arrive. They are not ordered, they obey from within. They are not beings, they are presence made motion. And still the heavens waited. For the vision Ezekiel saw was not his alone. It was not for one man in one exile. It was a template, a keyhole, a prophecy that would echo through the chambers of apocalyptic memory. For John, centuries later, would see something too, creatures full of eyes, never resting, burning with holy, holy, holy. Daniel, too, would behold the Ancient of Days seated upon wheels of fire. But Ezekiel was the first. He was the one chosen to see the wheels in their raw glory, before doctrine, before the temple, before explanation. He was shown the thing that carries the presence of God, so that the presence could come to those who had been cast out. And what of the wheels themselves? They did not need to be understood, only witnessed. They are a mystery not meant to be solved, but sanctified. And perhaps that is why they are covered in eyes, because they do the seeing. And perhaps that is why they do not speak, because they are the message. Ezekiel did not record them as symbols, he recorded them as reality. He did not interpret, he described. And that is the burden of the seer, not to explain, but to reveal. And now the wheels have turned again. In this telling, in this remembering, can you feel them turning within you? The wheel does not begin, it turns. So too did Ezekiel's life spiral from priesthood into prophecy, from exile into eternity. And as the days grew long in the land of his captivity, he was no longer merely a man beside a river, but a vessel into which visions poured like thunder into clay. But one vision remained above the rest, turning ceaselessly in his mind, like those wheels, never still, never silent, always watching. The heavens had opened, but not with comfort. This was not the warmth of divine presence felt by shepherds beneath stars. This was not the still, small voice that passed by Elijah on the mountain. This was the weight of glory, the kavod Hashem, clothed in fire, riding on living machinery. And what is glory when it moves like this? It is not light, it is not music. It is pressure, it is the unbearable density of holiness condensed into form. And the Ophanim, those dreadful flaming wheels, were its chariot. But what kind of chariot burns with its own eyes? The wheels were not turned by axle or force, but by spirit, not merely accompanying the cherubim, but woven into them living geometry, rotating dimensions of being. When one moved, all moved. When one turned, all turned. But none turned as humans turn. There was no front or back, no curve, no drag, only pure intention expressed through holy motion. A wheel within a wheel, this was no chariot of war. It was the emblem of divine symmetry. It bore the mind of heaven and made motion. It was the form of thought itself. What Ezekiel saw was not chaos. It was the order beneath order, the rhythm beneath prophecy, the symmetry behind the silence. And still the heavens waited. In the days that followed, Ezekiel found no peace, not because he was tormented, but because he had been awakened. Visions came like storms through his nights. He no longer dreamed, he remembered. The wheels had written something inside him. He could feel them turning, still not outside, but within. Each thought he had now bore their trace. Each silence was now filled with the echo of their watching eyes. And oh, the eyes! No feature of the vision haunted him more than this. Not the fire, nor the wings, nor the thundering form above the firmament, but the eyes, so many, all around, encircling the rims of the wheels, watching in stillness, gazing not with curiosity, but with holy witness. They did not blink, they did not sleep. They were not warm, nor cruel, nor cold. They simply saw. Some men are changed by what they see. Ezekiel was changed by being seen. And this is the beginning of all prophecy, not the desire to speak, but the experience of being watched by something that does not forget. The eyes of the wheels remembered what mankind had buried. They saw the fall. They saw Eden close. They saw the tower rise. And still they watched. And what happens to a man when he realizes that his soul has never not been seen? He either crumbles or he is called. Ezekiel was called. The vision did not demand words from him, it placed them inside him. Like coals on a tongue, they seared his silence until it burned with truth. And the truth was this: the glory of God had departed from the temple, but it had not departed from his people. The wheels do not turn only in the holy city. They turn wherever the Spirit chooses, even in exile, even in Babylon, even in your wilderness. This was the terror and the hope. For if the wheels can turn there, then there is no place they cannot go. And if the glory can ride on them, then there is no soul too far, no night too deep, no silence too wide. And still the heavens waited, because the wheels were not merely a vision, they were a reminder that what carries God's presence is alive, that what holds his throne is not stone nor ark, nor temple, but flame and spirit, and the mystery of turning. And so Ezekiel walked again, but he walked differently. His eyes no longer saw land or captors or time. His eyes turned inward, and there, within his memory, the wheels still turned. He would speak now, not for kings nor men, but for the glory that burns and watches and moves. He had seen it. He would never unsee it. And now we must ask, why wheels? Of all the forms that could carry the throne of the holy, why not wings alone? Why not a storm cloud? Why not a host of angels in procession? Why wheels turning, circling, flaming wheels? Because the throne of God does not sit in one place. It moves, it advances, it watches, it judges, and the wheels are the sign that heaven is not distant but approaching. The vision was not given to Ezekiel as a comfort. It was given as a warning. The glory had left the temple. The cherubim no longer stood still. The throne had mounted its chariot, and the wheels were turning away from Jerusalem. The presence was departing. Judgment was coming. And where the wheels go, fire follows. And yet within the dread, a deeper mystery stirs. The wheels were not made of gold or metal alone. They were not bound by earth's laws. They were beryl, the color of divine fire, blue like the deep sky at twilight, green like Eden's memory, shimmering like glass dipped in spirit. They were not objects. They were beings, living, breathing, watching. And who can understand such a thing? Not even the prophets tried to explain them. They described them. They trembled before them. They surrendered to the sight, because the wheels are not for man to control. They are for man to behold. And still, the heavens waited. One cannot understand the Ophanim with intellect. They must be understood with awe, for awe is the language of heaven. And these beings, these dreadful wheels of fire, do not sing, do not shout, do not fly. They burn, they turn, they bear the throne, wherever glory chooses to go. And when they pass by, the air changes, the light changes, the soul changes. Imagine for a moment standing alone in a field of dust, and suddenly the sky peels open like paper. And from the heart of the wind, you hear not music, but the sound of movement without friction, motion without weight. And then you see it, a wheel, its rim rimmed with eyes, turning not on the ground, but through it, beside it, above it. And inside that wheel another wheel, intersecting, interlocked, not bound by angle or edge, just turning, and you feel it, the sense that this wheel has always been turning. Before you were born, before your mother's mother dreamed, before the stars sang, and still it turns. This is the memory that Ezekiel carried. This is the burden of vision, to see something eternal and then be asked to live in time again. The Ophanim are not history, They are not myths. They are the machinery of divine will. When judgment moves, they move. When mercy arrives, they carry it. When prophecy breaks open a city, they were the ones who bore its weight. And still, the heavens waited. Even now, in a world that forgets the sacred, the wheels are not still. Even now, in a sky filled with false light and artificial fire, they turn, quietly, invisibly, over the sleeping cities, over the wilderness, over the soul that dares to listen again. For there is a place beyond explanation, a place where language ends, and in that silence, something moves. It is not wind, it is not time. It is the sound of wheels, a wheel within a wheel, and at its center eyes that have never closed. And what they see, they remember, and what they remember, they carry, and what they carry becomes judgment or mercy. The wheels are alive. They are watching, they are still turning, and somewhere perhaps above you now they pass. Can you hear them turning? Can a man walk with God and not be consumed? Can flesh bear the weight of what burns in heaven? Enoch did, but he did not return the same. He was not a king, nor prophet, nor warrior, only a man who remembered, a man who listened, a man who kept records when others forgot. And it was to this quiet soul, hidden in the shadows of the early world, that the heavens opened, not with violence, but with invitation. An ascent was offered, and he said yes. The days before the flood were heavy with sin and shimmer. Giants roamed like gods. The children of the watchers ruled with the arrogance of stolen fire. The sky was no longer silent. The earth trembled beneath forbidden blood. And yet, in the midst of corruption, a whisper moved through the leaves, through the dust, through the bones of the old mountains. Enoch heard it, not with ears, but with soul. And he was lifted, not by chariot, not by beast, but by wind and word. The scriptures do not tell how it began, only that it did. Enoch walked with God, and was not, for God took him. But those 7 words veil a journey that shook the heavens. He was taken to the gates that do not open for angels, let alone men, carried through stars older than creation, brought before flames that do not speak, but remember. And as he passed, even the watchers of the upper heavens turned their eyes. For no mortal had come so high. Not Adam, not Abel, not even the seraphim knew why. And still the heavens waited. The wind that bore him was not wind, it was breath, spirit. The very ruach that once hovered over the waters before light was born. It moved through him, rearranging his soul. Time fell away, flesh fell away, my name fell away. Only Enoch remained, and even that began to fade. He was shown things no man should see. The places where judgment is held in store like thunder, chained in caverns of silence. The paths of the stars, and the languages they speak to one another. The secrets of how light bends when it hears the voice of its creator. And above all, he was shown the throne. Not the symbol, not the metaphor, the throne. And the wheels were there. Of course they were. For how else could the throne move through the heavens? They turned, silently, eyes burning, rings glowing with the memory of justice. They did not acknowledge Enoch, but they knew him. They had seen his name in the scrolls they circled. They had watched his birth. They had measured his days. They bore the throne past his soul once when he was a child, and he had wept, not knowing why. And now he stood before them. He stood, and he was not afraid, because what is fear when the soul remembers? He remembered Eden. He remembered the footsteps in the garden. He remembered what it was to walk with the holy in the cool of day. And now he walked again, but this time not on earth, this time within the very breath of heaven, and the wheels turned. They did not move for him, nor against him. They moved, because they always have. They are not creatures of time. They are momentum. They are obedient without hesitation. They are the mechanism by which glory travels, and when they pass, reality bends. Enoch beheld them not as a scholar, nor as a seer, but as one remembered. The eyes of the wheels turned to him, and for a moment he saw himself as they saw him. All his days, all his thoughts, all his silences, and they did not judge, they simply held him. And still the heavens waited, for Enoch had not yet reached the center. He had not yet heard the name that is not spoken. He had not yet seen what the angels feared to whisper. He had not yet looked upon the face above the wheels. But he would, and the wheels would bear him still. The path beyond the wheels was not a road. It was a yielding of self, of flesh, of memory. Each layer of heaven Enoch passed through stripped him of something he thought he was. Time peeled away first, like a fading shadow at dusk. Then fear, that oldest of companions, dissolved into silence. Even longing vanished, for there is no room for yearning in the places where all is fulfilled. He was escorted now, though he could not name his guides. They were not angels, not in the form known to man. They were presence shapes of obedience, breath without body, will without question, and with them Enoch rose, past the first heaven, where clouds hang like prayers suspended, past the second, where the stars chant in ancient voices, past the third, where the treasuries of snow are kept and judgment sleeps like a lion. And still the heavens waited. The fourth and fifth stretched beyond him like oceans of fire and song. The sixth was a garden of flame where the watchers stood, their heads bowed in eternal sorrow, remembering what was and what they lost. And there, just beyond the sorrow, began the seventh. And in the seventh heaven, Enoch was brought near the throne. There is no language for what he saw. It was not brilliance, it was the source from which all brilliance spills. Not sound, but the stillness from which every sound is born. The throne was not a seat, it was a presence, a center, and around it the wheels burned. They did not encircle the throne, they were one with it. Each wheel turned, not in orbit, but in harmony. A wheel within a wheel, moving not in space, but in glory. They burned with a fire that did not consume, but revealed. And from within them eyes shone, eyes full of knowing. Not just knowledge, but intimacy. They did not look at Enoch, they looked into him, past his thoughts, past his soul, into the original echo of God that lived in the breath of his creation. And he did not hide. To be seen by the wheels is not to be exposed, it is to be known. And still the heavens waited. There were others present, beings whose names only thunder could speak. Archangels cloaked in living light, seraphim whose songs wound around the throne like rivers of fire. And at the edges, the silent watchers, the cherubim, ancient as law, terrible in stillness. But none dared come closer than the wheels, for the wheels were the ones who moved when God moved. They were not his servants, they were his motion. And Enoch was called forward. He did not walk. He was brought by will, by word, by something so sacred it has no sound. He passed the burning ones, past the 7 torches that never go out, past the sea of crystal like still lightning. And then the voice. It was not loud. It did not shake the heavens. It was still. And in that stillness, every fiber of his being bowed. Not his knees, not his hands, his being. And then it spoke not in thunder, not in flame, but in knowing. And Enoch understood. He was not shown power. He was shown the order, purpose, the rhythm by which galaxies breathe, the justice that undergirds all love, the mercy that cradles all judgment. He was shown why the wheels must turn, why the eyes must watch, why glory must move, because creation is not static, it is motion, holy motion. The wheels are not decoration, they are declarations. God moves, and the wheels move with him. And so too must we. Enoch wept not with sorrow, but with recognition. For in the turning of the wheels, he remembered the deepest truth, that all things move toward the center, that all life is a return. And still, the heavens waited, but not for long, for the time had come. The book was to be opened, and Enoch's name was already inside. The book was not made of paper, not of leather, nor bark, nor gold. It was made of breath and flame and memory. A living scroll, written in the language of becoming, inked not with words but with essence. When it opened, it did not crackle, it sighed, as if it had been waiting to exhale for 1,000 years. And in that exhale, Enoch remembered who he truly was. The angels did not touch the book. Even they stood back. Only the voice, the great voice, still and thunderous, tender and unbreaking, commanded its unfolding. Pages that shimmered like the surface of still water turned themselves. Each word was not read, but known. Each line was not described, but revealed. And as Enoch watched, he saw names, names of stars, names of winds, names of men long dead and not yet born, and there between flame and silence was his. But not as he had known it. Not Enoch, the name given by men. It was his name as it is known in the heavens, his soul name, the name the wheels had known, the name the eyes had watched, the name that echoed the moment God breathed into clay, and he trembled, not from fear but from recognition. He had never seen himself until this moment. He had never heard his true name spoken, and now that it was, he could not be as he was. And still, the heavens waited. For now, the judgment was to be given. Not judgment as wrath, but judgment as clarity. To be judged is to be seen fully, to have all illusions burned away, to stand before the flame and not be consumed. And that is what Enoch endured. The wheels did not turn. They stood still now, and their eyes were open, all of them, thousands, encircling him, and Enoch stood, naked of all pretense, all pride, all ambition. Only his soul remained bare, burning, weeping, not from guilt, but from awe. For he was not cast out. He was received. The fire did not devour him. It welcomed him. The book did not accuse him. It remembered him. And the throne, it did not speak of his doom. It whispered his task, and that was more terrifying than judgment. He was to return. He who had seen the heart of the heavens was to return to the dirt. He who had stood before wheels alive with flame was to speak to men who had forgotten their own breath. He who had heard the voice was to become a voice. The wheels turned again, not away, but downward toward earth. And Enoch knew the throne was descending, not visibly, not with spectacle, but with presence, and he was to go before it. He was to write, he was to warn, he was to record what the world had forgotten. And the angels watched, not in envy, not in sorrow, but in reverence. For no seraphim had been asked to do this, no cherubim had been granted such a burden. Only a man, only one, only Enoch. And still the heavens waited. He looked back once more at the throne, in glory, at the fire, at the eyes, and they looked at him not with farewell but with promise. They would watch him, even in the dust, even in silence, even when men laughed and tore the scrolls and mocked the fire. The wheels would still see him, and he would remember. What he saw in the heights, he would carry in the low. What he received in silence, he would speak into the storm. What he touched in heaven, he would write on earth. The throne had spoken, the scroll was closing, the wheels were turning, and Enoch was descending. The descent was slower than the rise, but heavier. He did not fall nor drift. He returned through the same layers he had passed, but now in reverse, and yet entirely changed. Each heaven he crossed seemed more distant than before, like memories fading in the mind of one waking from a holy dream. The voices of angels no longer roared, they wept. Not for loss, but for the wonder that a man had come and now must go. And still the heavens waited. The wheels remained above, turning in slow silence, their eyes ever open. Scroll was no longer before him, it was within him, and the voice still whispered not from outside, but inside. And so he wrote, and what he wrote, no man had ever written. He recorded the names of the angels who fell. He recorded the heights of the heavens and the circuits of the stars. He recorded the fire-eyed wheels and the order of their motion. He wrote of the great glory, and the place where the Most High sits, and the river of fire that pours from beneath the throne. But he did not explain, he described, because what is sacred cannot be explained, it must be carried. And Enoch carried it, not with pride, not with a crown, but with silence. And still the heavens waited. The watchers who had fallen read his words in terror, for they knew he had seen what they could not approach. The Nephilim, those giants birthed from rebellion, feared his gaze, for in it they saw the eyes of the wheels that circled the throne. The people mocked him at times. They scoffed at the idea that a man had walked through heaven and returned. But Enoch did not defend. He only wrote, and those who were quiet enough, those who sat alone at night and listened to the winds through the trees, they heard something, a whisper, not from the leaves but from within, the voice, still, calling, remembering. And in that silence, the wheels turned once more, not in the sky, but in the soul. Because what Enoch brought back was not a message, it was a rhythm, a divine turning, a holy spiral, the pattern of all things returning to their source. And his final words before he was taken once again, this time never to return, were these: the heavens move with purpose, the wheels are not chaos. They are the will of the Holy One, made visible. Fear not the turning, for all things that burn in truth shall rise. And then he was not, and the scroll closed, and the wheels turned, and still the heavens waited. Before the foundations of the earth were laid, before light was carved into the deep and dark split from day, there were thrones, not seats, not altars, thrones, not to be occupied by kings of dust, nor spirits of wind, but by the essence of judgment itself. Thrones that are not placed, but awakened. Thrones that burn with the purpose for which all things were measured. Thrones is set not in palaces of gold, but in the halls of eternity, where time bends before law, and glory is heavier than mountains. And around these thrones, fire. Not fire that devours, but fire that divides, between what is and what is not, between what is true and what merely pretends. Daniel saw them once in a vision born of trembling night. His sleep fled from him, and his soul stood before the court of the Ancient of Days. And their thrones were set, and he came, not in haste, not with thunder, but with the weight of all memory. The Ancient of Days, whose hair was white as wool, whose garment burned like light, whose throne was not still, but made of flame and motion, and beneath him what turned? Wheels, wheels of fire, wheels that blazed not with destruction, but with holiness. And from those wheels came a river of fire that flowed out before him, a current of judgment that could not be stopped. It did not consume. It was revealed. And what it revealed, it purified or destroyed. And still the heavens waited. The thrones Daniel saw were not empty. They were occupied not by men but by authority, by the breath of righteousness, by those set apart to witness the scales as they rose and fell. Thousands upon thousands stood before the Ancient, not in fear but in stillness, in readiness, for the court was seated, and the books were opened. These books were not written by human hand. They were inscribed in fire, remembered by the eyes of the wheels, held by the presence of the holy. And as they opened, names rose like smoke, deeds like shadows, thoughts like echoes made visible. Nothing was hidden, nothing forgotten. because the wheels had seen it all. Every moment, every silence, every small mercy, and every subtle cruelty. The wheels had turned through centuries, not passively, but watching. And what they had watched, they now delivered to the thrones. Judgment was not thunder, it was exposure, and when truth is fully exposed, it judges itself. And still, the heavens waited. The river of fire flowed, and it did not choose sides. It moved as it must. Just as the wheels do not choose, they turn. For the wheels are not creatures of will, they are creatures of response. They move when glory moves. They turn when justice turns. They burn because holiness cannot sit still. And this is the terror of the thrones. They are not conquered, they are revealed. When the glory comes, all things are laid bare. And what stands, stands not by strength, but by mercy. What falls, falls not by wrath, but by weight. For the glory is heavier than all, and the wheels that carry it cannot be stopped. They are the rings of fire upon which righteousness rides. And to see them is to know the throne is near, and when the throne draws near, nothing can remain as it was. The fire that flows from beneath the throne is not the fire of man. It does not flicker. It does not feed on wood or flesh. It is not born of spark or friction. It is ancient, sacred, self-existent. It is the flame that lit the stars, the fire that guards the east of Eden, the same fire that fell upon Sinai when the mountain groaned with the weight of law, the same fire that touched the lips of prophets and turned them into trumpets of truth. And this fire, this terrible, beautiful fire, rides the wheels. They are not carriers of stone or ark. They carry presence. They carry the center. They carry that which no mortal eye can contain. And as they move, fire trails them, like rivers of living judgment. Have you ever wondered why God does not walk? Because the throne does not walk. It rides, and the wheels bear it. Their rims are not crafted, they are called. Their eyes are not painted, they are knowing. And the fire that encircles them is not defensive, it is revelatory. To touch the flame is to see yourself as you are, without a mask, without a name. And still, the heavens waited. The prophet Daniel did not describe angels with wings as Ezekiel did. He saw thrones, he saw books, he saw the wheels, and from them, fire. Not chaos, not wrath, order. Divine order poured out like molten clarity, because judgment is not a sentence, it is an unveiling. And when the books are opened, what is written cannot be denied. Each soul stands before the throne, not as it wished to be, but as it truly is. The river of fire does not punish, it purifies. What can pass through it lives, what cannot burns. And the wheels, they carry this fire. They do not resist it, they are its motion, its rhythm. It's a song, and they turn forever. For the throne does not stop. Its judgments are not delayed. Its vision is never closed. The eyes upon the wheels see all, not just the deeds of men, but the intentions beneath them, the motives beneath the prayers, the thoughts behind the sacrifices, and what they see they remember, not with malice, not with cruelty, but with perfection. And still the heavens waited. And now, so must we. For the thrones are not only in heaven, they echo upon the earth. Every time justice breaks through silence, every time mercy rises through pain, every time a hidden truth is revealed in fire, a throne has been set, and a wheel has turned. Because the heavenly throne is not distant, it is mirrored in the soul, in the conscience, in the trembling moments when we see ourselves and we know we are seen. That is the beginning of judgment. Not wrath, but revelation. Not punishment, but presence. And the wheels will not stop turning. Not until every book is opened. Not until every hidden thing is brought into the light. Not until every soul stands before the river of fire and decides, do I run or do I pass through? And still, the heavens waited, because judgment is not the end, it is the door, and what waits beyond is glory. The glory beyond judgment is not gentler, it is weightier. It does not soothe, it settles. It presses into every hollow place like oil, into dry stone, not to comfort, but to complete. And that is why the thrones are not the final dwelling of the presence, but the place where the division is made, between the seen and unseen, between the memory of man and the memory of heaven, between shadow and truth. The wheels do not flinch at this dividing. They were made for it. They are not arbiters, they are mirrors. What passes before them is not evaluated, it is reflected. And the reflection is flawless. Fire may seem to distort, but in divine light, distortion is impossible. Every soul shows itself as it is, and still the heavens waited. In the mystery of the heavenly court, the wheels do not roll forward like a carriage, they rotate in stillness, because they do not carry the throne toward time. They carry time toward the throne. The entire procession of creation moves not in a straight line, but in spirals, returning always to the center. The throne is the center, the wheels are turning, the fire is the revelation, and judgment is the moment when the soul touches the edge of the divine and cannot pretend any longer. Can you feel it? That subtle quake in the heart when your own thoughts rise to meet you. That is not guilt, it is gravity. Judgment is not about guilt, it is about alignment, and the wheels were made to realign. They turn not to condemn, but to recalibrate the cosmos. When a soul drifts, when a world forgets, when a people exalt pride above presence, the throne does not rush in wrath. The wheels begin to turn, slowly, terribly, inevitably, and when the wheels turn, the throne approaches. And where the throne draws near, fire flows, and in the fire, everything false begins to melt, and still the heavens waited. Have you ever stood beside a fire and watched what it reveals? Metal glows, wood cracks, shadows leap, but everything is honest. That is what the river beneath the throne does. It makes all things honest again. And the eyes of the wheels, those countless unblinking witnesses, they do not accuse, they remember. They carry memory like light carries heat, like rivers carry sound. Every act of mercy, every betrayal, every silence, every sacrifice, they remember, and they turn. And when the thrones are set again on earth, in vision, in time, they will come bearing all they have seen, and nothing will be lost. This is what Daniel glimpsed, not just a future judgment, but an eternal reality that is always quietly unfolding. The books are always being written, the court is always in session, the wheels are always turning, and still the heavens waited. There is a time for silence. There is a time for fire. There is a time for the wheels to move with holy speed, to bring judgment to the gate, to scatter lies like chaff in the breath of flame. But there is also a time when they wait, because judgment, in its purest form, is not rushed. It is not wrathful. It is slow, steady, inevitable, and when it arrives, it brings clarity, not chaos, peace, not punishment, truth, not in the voice of man, but in the sound of a wheel turning in flame. There are thrones men craft for kings, gilded, carved, elevated with pride. And then there are thrones that no hand has shaped, because they were not made, they were born. These are the thrones set before time. Thrones not of wood or gold, but of presence. Thrones surrounded by fire, not for spectacle, but because anything less would be consumed by their purpose, and at their foundation the wheels, still turning, still alive, still burning. These are the thrones spoken of by Paul, who named the hierarchy of the invisible, thrones, dominions, principalities, powers. These are the thrones of the second choir, those that do not fight, nor sing, nor fly, but bear. They bear justice. They bear judgment. They bear God himself when he rises in motion. But the mystery remains. Why do they turn? Why not remain still beneath the seated glory? Because glory does not remain seated forever. It moves, and so the thrones turn. When mercy must descend, thrones turn. When justice must rise, thrones turn. When truth must be carried through silence, thrones turn. And still the heavens waited. The fire that rings them is not wrath, but readiness. When God decides to move, it is not by accident. He rides upon the cherubim, yes, but he rests upon the thrones. And where the thrones move, the world is never the same. For their turning signals a new season, not measured by moon or harvest, but by spirit. And this is the dread of the wise, that they have seen the signs of turning in their own time. They have felt the trembling beneath the soul. They have heard, in dreams, the slow groan of a wheel beginning its sacred orbit. They know what it means. God is moving, and he does not move without purpose. The thrones are not swift, they are deliberate. Their slowness is their terror, because when they arrive, it is already too late to run. And still the heavens waited. The world keeps its rhythm, its wars, its towers, its rituals. But above it all, somewhere in the flame beyond sight, the wheels are turning. Not in haste, not in chaos, but in judgment. The river of fire still flows. The books are still being written. The thrones are never unoccupied. They do not rest. They do not slumber. They do not grow weary, for their burden is not heavy to them. It is holy. And what they bear cannot be shaken. Glory, wait. Eternity. And so they turn, and so they burn, and so they remember, and so they watch. And when the final trumpet sounds, and all things are brought into one silence, and the stars fall like breathless songs from the sky, you will hear it. Not a shout, not a cry, but a sound older than speech. The low, slow, holy sound of a wheel within a wheel, turning, still watching, still burning, still bearing the throne. And still the heavens wait. There are eyes that look and eyes that see, but the eyes of the wheels do more than see. They know. In the vision of Ezekiel, there was fire, there was lightning, there was glory, but there was also this, and their rims were full of eyes, all around the four of them, not just a few, not placed like jewels, but countless, layered, embedded, watching. The wheels did not turn blindly. They turned in witnesses, each eye alive, each eye open, each eye a memory, not of a moment, but of a soul. These are not the eyes of flesh. They do not blink, they do not tire. They are not startled by light or deceived by shadow. These are the watchers of the watchers, eyes that saw the first flame, the first fall, the first flight from Eden, eyes that do not age, eyes that do not look away. And still the heavens waited. Can you imagine being seen, truly seen, not as you present yourself, not as you hope to be known, but as you are, beneath thought, beneath shame, beneath language? The eyes of the wheels do not flatter, they do not accuse, they reflect. They behold you as heaven knows you, and they never forget. And that is why they are terrifying, not because they condemn, but because they remember. And what they remember, they do not release, not out of cruelty, but out of calling. Because the wheels are not merely watchers of men, they are keepers of the pattern. The turning of their rings is the rhythm of righteousness. The eyes upon them are the measure. And what they measure is not height, nor wealth, nor power, but truth. Truth unspoken, truth unwritten, truth alive in the silence. And still the heavens waited. Each motion of the wheel is deliberate. Each eye is fixed in harmony with divine will. They are not searching. They are witnessing. They do not need to find, they already know. And this knowledge burns, not with heat, but with holy clarity. To be seen by the wheels is to be drawn into alignment. A soul cannot escape the gravity of such vision. It either opens in surrender or hides in shadow. But the shadows do not last, because the wheels turn toward every hidden place, and the fire follows them. What is secret is not safe, not forever, not before the eyes, and yet there is no hatred in their gaze, only holiness. The gaze of the wheels is like the gaze of God. It does not force, it reveals, and when it reveals, it restores, unless it is resisted, unless it is denied, unless the soul, in its terror, chooses blindness over brokenness. Then the eyes weep, and the wheels turn away. And still the heavens waited, for the eyes do not come for spectacle. They come for witnesses. They come to see what man has forgotten to see in himself. The image, the breath, the echo. The divine flicker is still buried beneath the dust, and when they see it, they remember it, they hold it. Even if the man forgets, even if the woman hides, even if the child grows bitter, the eyes do not close. They turn, they burn, they wait. They are long, and one day they will meet your gaze, and you will know. You have been seen all along. There is a silence that is not empty, but full, pregnant with meaning, pulsing with presence. The eyes of the wheels live in such silence. They do not shout at their witnesses. They do not weep aloud. They do not speak condemnation into the wind. They simply remain, open, eternal, listening without ears, recording without ink. When Ezekiel beheld them, he could not measure their number. He could only say, full of eyes. The phrase is simple, but it trembles. For to be full of eyes is not merely to see, it is to know all directions at once. Past, present, and the slow turning future. Above, below, within. The wheels do not miss anything. Not the small act of kindness done in secret. Not the jealous thought hidden behind a smile. Not the moment the heart turned, even slightly, toward light or away from it. And still, the heavens waited. Do not think the eyes are passive. They are not idle reflections, nor ornamental flames. They are alive with divine memory. They are the sacred record keepers that do not need parchment or scroll. Their gaze alone inscribes eternity. To be looked upon by the wheels is to be etched into the fire of heaven, and nothing is ever lost there. Every sigh of surrender, every whispered repentance, every bitter silence when forgiveness was withheld. The eyes have seen it, and they do not turn away. They hold it until the throne arrives. And when the throne moves, carried upon the very wheels themselves, what the eyes have seen becomes fire, not to punish, but to purify, because fire is what happens when memory becomes motion. And motion is how glory draws near. And still, the heavens waited. In the revelation of John, at the end of all things, he sees 4 living creatures, full of eyes before and behind. Day and night they do not rest, crying, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. They do not stop because the turning never stops. They are not restless, they are awakened. And why do they cry holy? Because they see. And when one truly sees the holy, there is only one word worthy to speak. Holy, over and over, as long as the wheels turn, as long as the fire burns, as long as the gaze endures. And still, the heavens waited. In the soul of man, there is also an eye. The ancient ones called it the eye of the heart. It too was made to see, but over time, it forgets. It dims beneath distraction. It blinks beneath pain. And it closes under the weight of shame. But the eyes of the wheels are the answer to that forgetting. They look into the eye of the soul and say, Awaken, you are still seen. Return, you are still remembered. Come out of hiding. The fire is not for your ruin, it is for your healing. This is why the wheels do not chase. They wait. And in their waiting, they watch. And in their watching, they call. And in their calling, they reveal the face of the one who never stops turning toward us, not even when we turn away. The eyes have seen the fall. But they have also seen redemption. They have seen the tears of exiles. They have seen the silence of martyrs. They have seen the secret prayers of children. And they remember it all, perfectly, holy memory. And when they move again, when the wheels thunder with fire, once more what they carry is not wrath. It is a witness, and what they witness will be revealed. What is more terrible than to be judged, to be forgotten? But the eyes of the wheels forget nothing. And in this there is both dread and hope. Because if the flame remembers only failure, we are lost. But if the flame remembers mercy, then we are held even in our lowest silence. The eyes do not close because heaven does not forget what heaven has loved. The turning wheels bear not only the throne, they bear the very sight of God. And God's seeing is not like man's. He does not glance, he beholds, he sees through, he sees it. He sees the marrow, the moment, the motive, and the wheels. They reflect that gaze. They are not mere servants of sight, they are extensions of it. This is why they do not need faces. The eyes are enough. The eyes are everything. And still the heavens waited. The seers of old did not romanticize this vision. Ezekiel did not weep with joy when he saw the wheels. He collapsed. He was undone. Because to be seen completely is to be dismantled. To stand before those eyes and still stand is a kind of miracle, not of strength but of grace. You must understand. These are not the eyes of a God seeking vengeance. These are the eyes of holiness, seeking wholeness, and in their gaze, nothing incomplete can remain hidden. So the soul either yields or breaks. But even in breaking there is mercy, because the eyes do not turn away from the broken. They draw closer. They have watched the fall of angels. They have seen the madness of kings. They have witnessed every generation trying to sow fig leaves over their shame. And still the wheels turn, and still the fire moves, and still the eyes remain open, watching, waiting, calling, and still the heavens waited. They do not blink, these wheels, not because they are mechanical, but because they are eternal. To blink is to lose a moment. To them, there are no lost moments. Even when you forgot the voice in your dream, even when you ignored the stirring in your chest, even when you cast your eyes downward to avoid the light, the wheels saw, and they waited, not to trap, but to witness, not to accuse, but to affirm that you are known, that you are seen, that your life is not dust blowing in a nameless wind. It is a flame in a circle of fire. It is memory turning within memory. It is a spark reflected in the gaze of the eternal, and this is why they terrify. Because they love without blinking, and no falsehood can stand in such love, and still the heavens waited. In your stillest hour, when sleep escapes you, and your breath is shallow, and the night presses like ancient questions, have you not felt it? A presence that does not enter, because it has never left. A gaze that does not watch from above, but from within. A silence that does not ignore you, but sees you more clearly than your own reflection. That is the wheel. That is the eye. That is the witness. And if you dare, if you truly dare, open your soul to it. Not in performance, not in pride, but in surrender. Let it see you. Let it remember you. Let it turn toward you, not with fire of judgment, but with the fire of knowing. And then, perhaps for the first time, you will see yourself as you were seen from the beginning. And if you saw yourself truly as the wheels see, would you turn away? Or would you tremble and fall and finally worship? For the eyes that cover the wheels are not symbols. They are real as breath, as shadow, as the trembling of the soul when it nears something too holy to name. They do not stare. They do not scan. They behold. And what they behold, they sanctify. They do not sanctify by cleansing, but by seeing, because when something is seen in full, it must either flee or be changed. This is the mystery. This is the fire. This is why the eyes are many and not one, because there are many things to see in you, and heaven refuses to miss any of them. And still the heavens waited. The wheel is not a machine, it is a heart of flame, a heart of vision, a heart of remembrance. It turns not because it is commanded, but because it was born to move. It watches not because it is curious, but because it was made to remember, and it burns not to destroy, but to refine. And this is what the prophets glimpsed. Ezekiel saw the pattern, Daniel saw the fire, John saw the cry of holy from within, but none of them understood it completely. For no man can fully bear the sight of being fully seen. It is a weight only love can carry. And so the wheels do. They carry it. They carry the gaze of God through all creation. They carry the glory. They carry the presence. They carry the memory of what was lost and what will be restored. And still the heavens waited. You may think heaven is above you, but sometimes it circles you, quietly, eyes wide, flame soft, waiting for your soul to awaken again, waiting for you to look up, not with your eyes, but your spirit, and to say, I remember, I have always been seen, even in my silence, even in my shame, even when I forgot my own name, they never stopped seeing. And when you say that, when your soul finally echoes what the wheels have known from the beginning, the turning changes. The fire responds, the silence opens, and what was watching from without moves within, not to burn, but to become one with you. This is why the wheels are not feared in heaven. They are revered, not for their fire, but for their faithfulness. They do not stop. They do not slumber. They do not look away. They are the ones who never forget, because their seeing is worship, their turning is obedience, their fire is love, and still the heavens waited. Somewhere now, above the noise and ache of your world, they turn still. The eyes are open, the flame does not fade, and the memory of you is still alive in them, not the memory others hold, not the name written in dust, the true memory, the one breathed into you before you were born, the one only heaven remembers fully, and the one the wheels have never forgotten. They are watching, not with judgment, but with hope, because the time is coming when the eyes will no longer just watch, they will weep, and the tears of heaven's wheels will cleanse the earth, and still, the heavens wait. Long before the flood swallowed mountains, before the deep roared and devoured the blood of giants, there was a moment, a single trembling breath in the heavens, when stillness gave way to dissent. Not all angels fell in fire. Some fell in beauty, some are longing, and some in silence. They were called the Watchers, not Ophanim, not wheels, not thrones, watchers, set not upon thrones, but upon mountains, assigned not to carry glory, but to observe the sons of men, to teach, to guard, to guide the new earth in its early innocence. And they did, for a time, until they saw what was not theirs to take, the daughters of men bright-eyed and unguarded beneath the stars. And their hearts, once tuned to heaven, began to beat like men. The fire in them dimmed, the weight of flesh enticed, and the watchers watched too long, and the watching became wanting, and wanting became an oath, and the oath became decent, and still the heavens waited. They came down, these watchers of old, not in wrath, but in hunger. They did not strike with sword, but seduced with knowledge. They taught men the secrets of heaven not yet meant for earth, how to carve metal, how to call down stars, how to enchant the breath of beasts. They whispered forbidden names and opened doors not built to be opened, and the women bore children to them. But these were no ordinary children. They were giants, born of heaven and earth, born of rebellion and desire, Nephilim, monstrous in strength, but hollow in soul. They walked the world like gods, and the blood of man cried out from the ground, and still The heavens waited. But not all heaven remained still. There were wheels unchanged. There were thrones still aflame. There were eyes that had watched it all. The Ophanim did not turn. When the watchers abandoned their post, the wheels remained in their stations. They did not descend. They did not follow, because they could not. Their movement is not by choice. It is by spirit. And the spirit did not fall, so the wheels stayed, turning above, witnessing, remembering. And while the watchers gave themselves to corruption, the wheels gave themselves to silence, holy silence, not of absence, but of waiting, of endurance, of divine fury, restrained. They watched the descent. They watched the giants grow. They watched the blood spread. And they turned. But not toward earth. They turned toward judgment. And still, the heavens waited. Enoch was shown this. He was taken, once more, not to watch glory, but to behold rebellion. He was led among the stars to the prisons carved in darkness, where the watchers would be chained. He saw the chains of flame. He heard their cries. He recorded their names. Azazel, their station. They do not share in the lusts of angels. They do not forget. They do not break. They turn with spirit, and the spirit does not betray. This was their holiness, not in choice, but in constancy. While others chose passion, they chose presence. While others burned with desire, they burned with glory. While others fell, they remained, turning, watching, waiting. The fall was great, but the wheels did not turn. There is a silence in heaven that is more deafening than war. It is the silence after betrayal, the silence when even angels weep. That silence fell when the watchers turned their eyes downward, not with compassion but with hunger, and the earth felt it. The wind changed, the stars recoiled. The soil beneath man's feet began to groan, for it could feel the weight of what was coming, giants, great in stature, empty in soul, and still the heavens waited. The watchers descended not as lightning, but as light. They came cloaked in glory, but within them glory had already faded. The presence they once carried was replaced with longing, not for God, but for flesh. And flesh answered. Women looked to the sky and saw beauty, and they opened their arms. Not knowing, they opened a gate. Not knowing the children born would be too large, too fierce, too cruel. These giants Nephilim walked like kings, but ruled like beasts. Their feet trampled the songs of the innocent. Their hands built cities of blood. Their tongues spoke words man was not meant to hear. And the knowledge poured into them alchemy, war, sorcery, seduction spread like rot through the early world. And still the heavens waited, but not all waited. The wheels, terrible, tireless, aflame with remembrance, were not idle. They did not descend, but they saw. They saw every oath whispered in the high places. They saw every altar where blood and desire mingled. They saw every lie spoken by fallen angels who once bore light, and they turned, slowly, terribly, inward, toward judgment. Because the wheels are not instruments of wrath. They are mirrors of movement. When the Spirit is present, they move. When the Spirit withdraws, they still burn. But when rebellion rises, they wait, and then they witness. And what they witness, they carry. And what they carry, they do not release. They hold it until the throne descends, and then the turning begins. And still the heavens waited. When the time had come, when the cries of the innocent rose like incense, and the earth shook with its own defilement, the Most High summoned the judgment. He did not shout, he did not weep, he wrote. And in the heavens the wheels turned. They turned not toward the watchers, but toward the throne. They did not carry vengeance, they carried justice. And when they moved, the skies opened. Not to reveal beauty, but to pour out reckoning. Enoch, the faithful scribe, was shown the end of the watchers. He saw them thrown down, bound in chains of shadow, cast into the valleys of judgment where no star shines. Their names, once spoken in reverence, became warnings. Their legacy, once radiant, became rotten. But above their fall, the wheels stood still. They had not left their place. They had not forgotten their song. They had watched betrayal without blinking. They had seen corruption without yielding. They had waited not with indifference but with purpose. Because they were never made to follow the fallen. They were made to bear the holy. And the holy does not fall. And still, the heavens waited. The rebellion of the watchers did not shake the wheels. The cries of the giants did not move them. Only spirit moves them, and spirit was preparing judgment. So the wheels turned toward the flood, not to drown, but to purify, not to destroy, but to realign. And as the waters rose, as the ark floated above the bones of a fallen age, the wheels turned above it, watching, waiting, witnessing. Because while angels fell, and men drowned, and giants perished, the fire never faded, the eyes never closed, and the wheels never turned from their purpose. They waited for glory. They turned toward righteousness. And they remembered. They always remember. The flood came not as rage, but as release. It was not a punishment, but a wash. Not a strike from heaven, but a sorrow too deep to be spoken in words. The earth was covered, not by wrath, but by weeping. And beneath those waters were buried the bones of rebellion giants, kings, and watchers who believed heaven could be stolen, that glory could be grasped by force. But nothing built upon stolen fire lasts. And still, the heavens waited. Above the waters, the ark floated a cradle of covenant, a seed of mercy wrapped in pitch and prayer. It did not sail with strength, it was carried by grace. And the wheels watched, not from earth, not from the clouds, but from the height of glory, from the throne that never moved, from the place where holiness burns and judgment flows like a river of flame. They did not stir, they did not roar, they turned, steady, silent, unbreakable, because what they carry is not fleeting. They are not stirred by violence, not shaken by fear. They moved when the Spirit moved, and the Spirit moved over the waters again, just as in the beginning, and still the heavens waited. What were the wheels doing? They were remembering. For the eyes of the wheels had seen Eden. They had seen the first light spill over creation. They had seen the first breath poured into man's lungs. They had seen the fruit touched, the shame, the exile. They had watched the cherubim take their stations at the gate, and they had burned. Because holiness never dims, even when paradise closes, even when angels fall, even when man forgets. The wheels do not forget. They are the perfect memory of motion, the perfect memory of design. They turn because truth must always turn back to its source, and that source is fire. And still, the heavens waited. The watchers, now chained in the deep places of darkness, cry out, not for mercy, but for restoration of what they once were. But they cannot return, for they did not fall by weakness, they fell by choice. They looked upon what was not given and reached. They taught what was not permitted and corrupted. They became more than fallen, they became false. And the wheels who cannot lie turned away, not in anger, in alignment. The wheels do not follow desire. They follow orders. They follow the Spirit. And Spirit had withdrawn from the watchers. So the wheels bore witness and remained. Their fire untouched by the passions of betrayal, their eyes unclouded by tears. They turned not with emotion, but with eternity. And still the heavens waited. For not all who fall are forgotten. There is a fall that ends in ruin. But there is another fall, a fall into grace. But only those who look up from the depths, who remember the fire, who cry not for power but for presence, are lifted. The watchers did not lift their eyes. They stared into the shadows, and the shadow deepened. And the wheels turned toward light, because judgment does not come to destroy what is holy. It comes to preserve it, to cleanse what threatens it, to seal what cannot be compromised. and the wheels bear that seal. They are the boundary between what is holy and what is profane. They are the gate between mercy and justice. They do not move at man's call, only when heaven speaks. And when heaven speaks, even the stars fall silent, even the flood listens, even the fallen tremble, and the wheels begin to turn. And when the waters receded, and the mountain-tops emerged like forgotten altars, the world took its breath again, but it was not the same breath. It was thinner, wiser, wounded. The giants were gone, drowned beneath the judgment they themselves had summoned. The watchers were silent, buried in darkness deeper than stone, deeper than flame. Their voices would rise again only in echoes, in myths, in names whispered by dying empires, in ruins stained with blood. But the wheels had not turned for them, and still the heavens waited. Noah stood beneath a cleansed sky, the air strange and hollow, as if creation itself were holding back its weeping. He built an altar, not of gold, but of earth and thanksgiving. And when the smoke rose, it rose to eyes that had never closed. The wheels were there, not visibly, not thunderously, but present, because the fire of the altar answered the fire of the throne. And wherever that fire is kindled, true fire, holy fire, not born of rebellion but of reverence, the wheels turn again, not toward wrath, but toward remembrance. And still the heavens waited. The story of the watchers became a whisper in the generations to come, a myth, a forbidden tale told near firelight and dismissed by scholars. But the wheels do not forget. They remember every oath sworn on high ground, every gaze that lingered too long, every gift corrupted into a weapon, every child born of mingled light and shadow, and they remember those who remained, those who did not fall, the loyal ones, the silent ones, the ones who stood their station though desire beckoned and pride stirred. The Ophanim. They did not choose stillness, they were born for it. They did not burn with ambition, they burned with presence. While the watchers burned with passion, the wheels burned with purpose, and that is why they are still turning. Because the throne still moves, and the story is not over, and still the heavens waited. You see, the judgment of the watchers was not only for them, it was for us. A mirror held to mankind to show what happens when holy roles are twisted into hunger, when what was given as a gift is wielded as a weapon, when what was meant to teach becomes that which defiles. And so the wheels turned, not in vengeance but in testimony. That glory does not bend, that presence cannot be corrupted, that the Most High still sees, and when he sees, he sends fire, and he sends wheels. And when they come, everything false crumbles, everything secret sings, everything proud is shaken, and everything faithful is lifted. And still the heavens waited. For there is another day coming, another judgment, another fall. But this time the fire will not retreat, the flood will not recede, and the chains will not be undone. The eyes of the wheels will open wider. Their turning will thunder across every mountain and every soul. And all will be revealed. The watchers will rise to face what they became. The earth will speak the truth of what it has held. And the throne will descend, not upon clouds, but upon flame. And the wheels will carry it, as they always have, as they always will. They did not fall, they did not forget, they did not turn away. And so when glory returns, they will be there, eyes open, rings aflame, faithful, forever. In the high places of heaven, where the fire does not consume but gives breath, there are beings born not of dust nor flame, but of function. They are the guardians, the singers, the bearers, the watchers. They do not sleep, they do not age, they do not forget. They are the hosts of glory, and among them 3 are known by name: cherubim, seraphim, and the living wheels. The cherubim are not the winged infants painted on the ceilings of cathedrals. They are ancient sentinels, Formed with wings that thunder and faces that shine, they were the first to stand at the gate of Eden, swords of flame drawn, faces to the east, guarding the garden from fallen flesh. They do not speak often. Their stillness is not silence, it is restraint. The seraphim burn. They do not guard, they adore. Their songs are endless, not out of duty, but because they cannot stop. Their 6 wings do not carry them, they cover. With 2 they veil their face, for no eye may look upon the full weight of the glory they sing. With 2 they hide their feet, for even their motion is holy. With 2 they hover, like fire without gravity. And still the heavens waited. The seraphim cry, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts." Not 3 times for repetition, but for fullness. One holy for what was, one holy for what is, one holy for what is to come. Their voice shakes thresholds. Their praise is not gentle, it is seismic. And when they speak, the foundations of heaven answer. But above them, behind them, beside them are the wheels, the living wheels, the Ophanim. And what are they? Not guardians, not singers, not messengers. They are the carriers of glory. They do not speak, they do not sing, they turn forever. They are not moved by desire, nor lifted by praise. They are moved by the Spirit. When Spirit lifts, they lift. When the Spirit rests, they rest. They are the answer to motion in heaven. When the throne moves, it does not walk, it turns, and the wheels bear it, and still the heavens waited. You see, there is an order to heaven, not of rank but of function. The cherubim guard the holy from the profane. The seraphim adore the holy in endless reverence. The Ophanim carry the holy wherever it must go, and none cross their boundaries. A seraph does not bear the throne. A cherub does not sing over it. Only the wheels turn beneath it, and only they are full of eyes. Only they see in every direction. Only they remember every movement the throne has ever made. They are not called servants. They are called thrones. Because what they bear is not just weight, it is right. They carry righteousness itself, and still the heavens waited. In Ezekiel's vision, the cherubim and the wheels are together, but not the same. The creatures had 4 faces. The wheels had none. The creatures had wings. The wheels had rings. The creatures moved like the wind. The wheels moved like will. And when one turned, the other turned, because they moved as one, because the Spirit moved in them. And that is the secret. Not all things in heaven have wings. Some have fire. Some have eyes. Some have wheels. But all are flames in motion, and all obey the same breath. The breath that spoke worlds into being. The breath that hovered over the waters. The breath that filled the prophets. The breath that still waits to be remembered. And still the heavens waited. The cherubim were seen first, not by prophets, but by man himself. When Adam fell, it was not wrath that barred the way back to Eden, it was presence. 2 cherubim were stationed at the east of the garden, swords of flame in hand, not to punish, but to protect. To guard the tree of life, not from curiosity, but from corruption. For the fruit that gives eternal life must not be eaten with stained hands. They did not speak, they stood, and their silence was louder than thunder. Ever since that day, cherubim have stood between what is sacred and what has been defiled, between man and the garden, between the holy and the profane, between heaven's fire and earth's desire. They are the gate, but the seraphim burn. Their name means burning ones, not because they are consumed, but because they are the fire. They are the song inside the flame. Isaiah saw them above the throne, not beside it. He saw them cry out in unity, their voices shaking the doorposts of the temple. And when he heard them, he did not rejoice, he collapsed. "Woe is me, for I am undone," he cried. Because holiness does not comfort, it undoes. And still the heavens waited. But where the cherubim guard and the seraphim worship, the Ophanim move. and that movement is the holiest terror of all. Because when the wheels turn, something ancient begins to stir, something older than Eden, older than flame, older than stars, glory on the move. The throne is not a statue, it is a storm, a living storm of justice, beauty, and judgment, wrapped in wind and surrounded by wheels. And wherever it goes, the earth cannot remain the same. The mountains bow, the waters flee, the nations tremble, and the soul is torn open, because the fire is coming, and it rides on wheels. And still, the heavens waited. The difference is not in power, all three bear power that shatters the bones of creation, but the difference is in proximity. Cherubim guards the way to the throne. Seraphim sings above the throne. But the Ophanim, they are beneath it. They bear it. They turn with it. They are part of it. They are not separate from the glory. They are the very foundation of its movement. And that is why they do not speak. That is why they do not sing. Because what they do is deeper than sound. They carry, and in their carrying, they declare. The glory does not stay still. The holy is not far. The throne is not a relic. It is alive. And the turning of the wheels is the turning of heaven's attention, the direction of its gaze, the shifting of divine presence. And still, the heavens waited. If you could hear the sound of the throne moving across eternity, it would not sound like a trumpet. It would not sound like a storm. It would sound like a wheel within a wheel, turning, turning, eyes watching, fire burning. And that sound would not comfort you, it would silence you, because that sound means the throne is near, and when the throne is near, nothing can remain hidden. The throne does not move because it must. It moves because it chooses. And when it moves, the wheels bear it not slowly, not swiftly, but with purpose beyond time. In that motion is the meaning of heaven. It is not the stride of gods or the march of kings. It is the sacred rotation of righteousness itself. The cherubim stand when others kneel. They guard when others fear. They do not flinch before fire, they are born from it. Their wings cover the Ark of the Covenant, carved in gold, shadowing the mercy seat. There, too, they do not speak, they simply witness. For between their wings sits the presence, the Shekinah, the unspeakable glory. But the seraphim, they cannot be still. For praise is not their duty, it is their nature. To cease crying holy would be to cease burning. Their fire is not heat, it is adoration. Pure, endless, uncorrupted. And it echoes not only through heaven but through the hearts of those who still dare to worship in silence, on knees, with trembling lips. Their fire touches prophets, not to destroy, but to awaken. And still, the heavens waited. But the Ophanim, the living wheels, bear something different. They bear the weight of judgment. They carry the glory that terrifies kings and bends empires. They do not descend to speak. They do not ascend to flee. They encircle, they orbit, they turn around the presence, they form the perimeter of divine holiness, and their eyes, oh, their eyes, see every soul that stands within the court. They do not ask questions, they do not give answers. They record, they know, and they never stop turning, and still the heavens waited. In the visions of old, all three appear in storms, a storm of light, a storm of movement, a storm of eyes. The cherubim shine like burnished bronze. The seraphim glow like the sun through flame. The wheels blaze with the color of beryl, green and gold, and are terrible. Each bears the mark of heaven, but only one bears the throne. The seraphim raise their voices. The cherubim raise their swords. But the wheels, they raise the world. They raise judgment. They raise the mercy that flows like fire from beneath the seat of God. They do not bow. They do not tremble. They turn, for they are not moved by emotion. They are moved by the Spirit. And Spirit does not rush. Spirit does not falter. Spirit flows as wind, as breath, as knowing, and the wheels move with it, and still the heavens waited. Cherubim, seraphim, Ophanim, none are gods, none are idols. They do not act apart from the one who is seated. They are not to be worshipped, they are to be revered. They are echoes of the order behind the veil, the order that holds the stars in place, the order that watches over the silence of tombs and the cries of children and the thunder of birth. They are the unseen rhythm of heaven, and they are not far. For when the presence moves, when the throne descends, when the breath of the Holy One stirs the veil, the fire will come again, and the storm will open, and they will be there, the guards, the singers, the wheels, and all will cry, Holy. And what is holiness, if not the weight that breaks the silence? What is glory, if not that which moves in mystery, yet leaves nothing unchanged? In the secret chambers of heaven, the hosts do not compete, they do not compare. The cherubim do not long to sing, the seraphim do not long to guard, the wheels do not long to rise. Each burns in its place, each flame holds its rhythm. Each being carries its purpose without envy, without fear, without forgetting. Because in the realm of the holy, order is not hierarchy, it is harmony. Each voice, each silence, each turning eye is a thread in the robe of the one who sits upon the throne. The cherubim shine with vigilance, the seraphim with flame, the Ophanim with memory, and still the heavens waited. When the throne moved through Ezekiel's sky, it was not accompanied by armies, it was not heralded by legions of silver-winged messengers. It came borne on these three. The vision was not crowded, it was precise, it was exact. The throne moved because it must, and it was carried by the only ones who could bear it. The cherubim beneath its firmament, the wheels beside its glory, the living presence above them all. And in that radiant, dreadful symmetry, the fullness of heaven breathed. No one flinched, no one fled, no one faltered. They turned as one, they burned as one, they moved as one, and still the heavens waited. The mystery of the Ophanim is this: they are not known by their voice, they are not described by their face, they are remembered by their motion. A wheel within a wheel, fire within fire, eyes within silence. Their song is not heard, it is felt in the soul like a thunder that forgets to roar. They do not come to teach, they come to carry. They do not announce, they arrive. And when they arrive, what was invisible becomes known. What was hidden burns, and what was false cannot stand, because where the wheels turn, the throne follows. And where the throne settles, judgment begins. And where judgment begins, the fire speaks. And still the heavens waited. Perhaps this is why the wheels carry no face, because their eyes are enough, because their witness is complete, because their glory is borrowed, not invented. They are not creators, they are carriers. And what they carry is unbearable to the proud and unspeakable to the wise. They carry the weight of the one who cannot be named. They carry the storm of presence, and they have never stopped turning. Not when Eden closed, not when Babel rose, not when the prophets wept, not even now, even in this moment, somewhere beyond the sky, or perhaps behind it they turn, their eyes open, their fire watching. Their silence is louder than speech, and the throne, eternal and unsleeping, rests upon their burning harmony. And all the hosts, seraphim, cherubim, angels, unnumbered bow, because the throne is not a place, it is a presence. And that presence is always moving, always burning, always returning, and the wheels are always there, turning, witnessing, calling, and still the heavens wait. There is a book not bound by leather nor paper. It is not written in ink nor carved in stone. It breathes, it watches, it remembers. It is the book beneath the wheels. And it does not open for man's curiosity. It opens only when glory moves, when the wheels turn, when the eyes upon the rings have finished their watching and begin to burn. This is no ordinary book. It does not simply record, it reveals. It reveals not only what is done, but why. Not only what is said, but what was meant. It is the book of the soul behind the soul, the hidden language beneath the tongue, and still the heavens waited. In Ezekiel's hand was a scroll, given not by angel, but by the voice. It was written on both sides, and it was full not of law, not of history, but of lamentation, mourning, and woe. It was sweet in the mouth, bitter in the belly, because the truth is not always a comfort. When the wheels turn and the book opens, what it reveals first is sorrow, the sorrow of what could have been, the sorrow of what was forgotten. The sorrow of the light was ignored. This is why the prophets weep when they see it. This is why Ezekiel sat stunned for 7 days, because the book beneath the wheels holds not only names, it holds remembrance, and remembrance burns. And still, the heavens waited. In Revelation, John sees a book, sealed with 7 seals, and none are worthy to open it. None in heaven, none on earth, none beneath the earth. And he weeps, because the book must open. The world cannot be judged, cannot be healed, cannot be made new, unless the book is opened. But who can open it? Who can bear what it contains? And then one is seen, the Lamb, slain, wounded, holy. And he takes the scroll, he opens the seals, because only he has borne the sorrow. Only he has been judged by the fire and found pure. Only he can turn the wheels of glory forward, and the heavens begin to move. The wheels begin to turn, and the book begins to speak, and still the heavens waited. The book beneath the wheels is not a myth. It is not a metaphor. It is a memory. It is what the eyes have seen since the beginning. It is the record of the Spirit's witness, and what it holds is not dead, it lives. Every name written, every act recorded, every thought weighed, not with scales of man but with flame. And in the end, all will be read aloud, not with a voice, but with glory. And what is read will not be debated, it will simply be true. And still the heavens waited. Because the book is not opened lightly. It opens only when the wheels move, only when judgment breathes, only when time has finished its turning. And even now, it waits, its pages glowing beneath the throne, its words sealed beneath fire, its truth held in perfect stillness beneath the wheels. And when it opens again, the world will tremble, because no lie can hide from it. No silence can excuse itself from it. No king can overrule it. It is final. It is sacred. It is aflame, and it is waiting. The book is not read, it reads you. It does not turn its pages by hand, but by spirit. And when it opens, the fire of the wheels responds, not in chaos, not in haste, but in perfect rhythm. Because the wheels have seen all things, and what they see, the book remembers. It is a mirror wrapped in flame. It does not reflect the face, but the intention behind the face. It does not reveal what man declares, but what he conceals. This is the burden of the scroll. It does not lie, and still the heavens waited. This book, this record of eternity, is not buried in stone or locked in the stars. It is held in the lap of the throne, beneath the turning of the wheels. The fire that surrounds it does not guard it from men. It guards men from it, because if it were opened before its time, the weight would crush the world. This is why the eyes of the wheels watch without blinking. They are not waiting to accuse. They are waiting for the right moment to reveal. Because the book is not just history, it is prophecy. It tells what has happened and what will be. It tells not through prediction, but through pattern. And the pattern is fire. And fire cannot be faked. And still, the heavens waited. The ancients believed that the book of a soul was written by the angels, that every deed was inked in the heavens, every intention, good or evil, etched into the scroll of remembrance. But the angels do not write in silence. They write in flames, because what is holy must be purified, and what is purified must be weighed, and what is weighed must be remembered. And the wheels remember all. Their eyes are the eyes of a witness. Their turning is the cycle of justice. And the book they circle is the axis of all things, not law, not a legend, but the living truth. And still the heavens waited. When Moses ascended the mountain, he received tablets carved by the hand of God. But he was shown more than commands. He was shown the heavenly pattern, the sanctuary above the sanctuary. And within it, a book. It was not for his eyes then, but it hovered like a sealed fire above the mercy seat. Because even then, the wheels waited. Even then, the scroll turned slowly in silence. Even then, the memory of heaven was preparing to descend. Because there comes a day when memory becomes judgment, and when judgment comes, the book will open, and when it opens, the wheels will not wait, they will move, and they will carry the throne to the heart of every soul. And the fire beneath the book will become fire in the earth, not to destroy, but to reveal. And what is revealed will not be denied. It will burn, it will cleanse, it will be restored, or it will consume. And still the heavens waited. So many long for revelation, but they forget that revelation comes with remembrance, and remembrance comes with fire, and fire comes with wheels, and the wheels only turn when the Spirit speaks. And the Spirit does not speak with flattery. It speaks with flame. And that flame burns in the pages of the book. It is not ancient, it is now. It is not distant, it is here, and it is waiting for your name. There are names all. They do not speak the names, they guard them. They turn slowly around them, carrying the echo of each name into the silence of heaven. Not as a record to be judged, but as a flame to be remembered. And still, the heavens waited. The book is not a threat, it is an invitation to be known fully, unflinchingly, to be seen with eyes that do not blink and not be destroyed, to be measured by a fire that does not hate, but does not lie, to be told, at last, the truth of who you are, not what the world called you, not what shame whispered, not what fear carved into your memory, but what heaven wrote when your soul was formed from the breath of the holy, that name, that light, that you. It is in the book, it is beneath the wheels, and it is waiting to be spoken aloud. And still the heavens waited. The prophets were shown glimpses. Daniel saw thrones set in fire, and books opened in judgment. Ezekiel saw the scroll in his hand, written inside and out, filled with words too heavy for man. John wept when no one could open the sealed book, until the Lamb came forward. He alone was worthy, because he had carried not only the name but the fire. He bore both judgment and mercy in his wounds. He did not turn the wheels with command, he moved them with surrender. And the book opened, and the end began, and still the heavens waited. But this is not only a vision of judgment, it is a vision of restoration. Because the book does not only remember sin, it remembers obedience. It remembers every time the soul chose to kneel instead of hide. Every time a tear was given in silence instead of pride. Every time a word of mercy was whispered instead of a sword of vengeance raised. It remembers what was holy in you, even when you forgot it, even when others did not see, the eyes of the wheels did. And they wrote it, and the book remembers. And one day, when the throne draws near again, and the sky opens, and the flame descends, the wheels will carry the book again, and it will not be closed. And your name will rise from its pages like a song wrapped in thunder. And you will not be asked to defend it. You will be asked to stand within it, to feel the eyes of glory upon you, to know that you were seen all along, and that you were still loved, and still the heavens waited. The wheels do not chase, they do not force, they wait for the soul to return, for the heart to remember, for the name to rise like smoke from the ashes of the world's forgetting. They wait for the moment the flame touches paper, and the story begins again, the true story, the one the book was always waiting to tell. There is a fire that speaks not in heat, but in names. It does not devour, it calls. It burns away the false name, the forgotten name, the name that fear stitched into the fabric of the soul. And beneath that ash, the true name rises, and the book knows it. For the book was written not after your birth, but before. It does not merely record, it reminds. It reminds the spirit who you are. It reminds the wheels of what they saw when they first turned their gaze upon you. Not your sin, not your shame, but your origin. That first echo of breath and dust and light. The name, my real name. And still, the heavens waited. When the throne moves, it does not come to surprise. It comes to confirm, to reveal what the book already knew, to open the page already written, and the wheels bear that knowing like flame bears light. Their turning is the turning of remembrance. Their eyes are the fire in which names are revealed, not erased, and the book beneath them turns with them, not because it must, but because the throne moves in rhythm with truth, and truth cannot be separated from the name. And still the heavens waited. There is a moment coming for every soul, not a moment of condemnation but of unveiling, a moment when the fire beneath the throne speaks your name aloud, and the wheels bear witness, and the eyes do not look away, and the silence holds its breath, because the name has been called, and when the name is called, you must answer, not with words, not with argument, but with being, with the raw, trembling soul you have become. And the fire will not harm you. It will recognize you, if you have remembered who you are, if you have walked in the flame without hiding, if you have allowed your name to be written not in stone but in spirit. Then the book will open to that page, and the wheels will turn, and the fire will sing, and the voice from the throne will not say, "What have you done?" It will say, "Well done." And still the heavens waited. But if the name has been hidden, if the soul has chosen forgetfulness over flame, if the scroll opens and finds only silence, then the fire will still burn, but it will not be recognized. And the name will vanish, not in wrath, but in wind, not in punishment, but in the distance, because the fire cannot lie, and the book cannot pretend, and the wheels do not carry an illusion, they carry only glory, and glory remembers what is true. And still the heavens waited. The book is real. It lives beneath the wheels. It burns in secret, and it waits. It waits for your name to rise like incense, like thunder, like the cry of a soul that has remembered Eden and longs to return not by force, not by pride, but by grace. It waits for you to write your life into its pages, not with ink, but with fire. And the wheels will turn, and the eyes will see, and the voice will speak, and what was written in silence will be read in glory. And you will burn, not in fear, but in the light of your own name. There is a tale too strange for doctrine, too terrible for comfort, a tale whispered in the shadows of ancient scrolls, breathed in the margins of forgotten psalms, wept in the dreams of mystics who dared to look too long into the fire. It is the story of an angel, not a fallen one, not a rebel, but one too holy to fall, yet too heavy to remain. Some say he was called Galgaliel, the wheel of God. He did not sing like the seraphim, nor guard like the cherubim, nor carry glory like the Ophanim. He was glorious. He was turning before time. Before the stars were lit, he was already burning. But something changed, not in him but around him. He became the fire he once carried, not in punishment, but on purpose, not cast down. not exalted. Transformed, he became the wheel, and still the heavens waited. What could cause such a thing? Was it judgment? No. It was mercy. It was motionless. For some, angels are not assigned to remain. Some are assigned to become, to descend not in disgrace, but in obedience, to lose their wings not in rebellion, but in surrender. And this one did. He surrendered. He let the name go. He let the form go. He let the voice go, and the fire took him. It did not devour. It changed, and he turned. He became the I. He became a memory, and now he turns not beside the throne, but beneath it, forever, and still the heavens waited. You will not find his name in the pages of Scripture. You will not find him spoken of in temples, but the mystics have known, the desert ones, the watchers of the stars, the scribes who wrote by oil lamp flame and dared not sign their names. They saw it, a wheel that moved unlike the others, slower, heavier, alive, with sorrow, with surrender, with glory. Some said he was the wheel nearest the throne, the innermost ring, the eye that sees not only the world but the heart of the throne itself. And that eye never blinks, because it once wept. And still the heavens waited. Why would heaven allow such a thing? Because heaven is not still. Heaven breathes, heaven moves, heaven becomes. And so, too, must its servants, even angels, especially angels. And what is more sacred than transformation? Not change from glory to dust, but from flame to motion, from voice to silence, from angel to wheel, not a punishment. A calling, a deeper fire. And now he turns, forever. His praise is no longer sung, it is presence, and his worship is not word, it is a witness, and the throne rests upon him. Because he did not grasp glory, he became its floor. And still, the heavens waited. Can you feel it? The story inside the turning, the sorrow inside the fire, the obedience that became form. He no longer speaks. But when the wheels move, it is his surrender that drives them. When the fire falls, it is his silence that cradles it. He is the wheel that once was an angel, and he is still burning. There is a holiness that sings and a holiness that weeps. The seraphim sing, the cherubim shine. But this one, this wheel, this being, who was not always a wheel, he weeps, not with sorrow alone, but with beauty too great to hold in voice. He weeps in silence. He turns in surrender, and the fire that surrounds him does not consume, because it is his breath, his skin, his sanctuary. He is aflame now, not by fall but by faith. And still the heavens waited. The old writings spoke of him in fragments, in dreams, in riddles. One said he was once a watcher of the veil, stationed at the edge of the deep where time collapses. Another said he stood so close to the glory that the weight began to undo his form until only light remained. But all agreed he did not leave his post. He did not cry out for his name. He simply turned. And in that turning, the throne found its foundation. Because glory requires surrender. And surrender becomes the wheel. And still, the heavens waited. Enoch, in his journey through the heavens, may have glimpsed him. A wheel burning brighter than the rest. Slower, wider. The eyes upon it are full of something more than sight, full of memory. Not memories of others, memory of self, memory of what he was before the flame. And yet he does not resist. He does not reach for wings again. He does not beg to return to what was. He has become what is needed. And that is worship. Not music, not offering, becoming. Letting the will of the holy shape you into what no one understands. Letting the fire form you into turning. Letting the voice within you fall silent, so that the greater voice may rest upon your stillness. And still the heavens waited. What if this is the highest praise? Not the song that rises from the mouth, but the form that gives itself to be carried, to be structured, to be symmetry, to be the ring that bears the one who moves with flame. Perhaps that is what the wheels are. Perhaps that is what this angel became, the surrender behind the fire, the obedience beneath the throne, the rhythm that never breaks, and the eye always watching, not outward, but inward, not to accuse, but to remember, to reflect the face of the one he now carries. And still the heavens waited. Could it be that this is why the wheels do not speak? Because they are the answer to a question never spoken aloud. Could it be that this wheel, this former angel, is the reason why the others turn? Because his surrender gave shape to their fire? Because his silence taught the storm how to move without breaking? We cannot know. We can only wonder. We can only kneel, and we can only listen to the sound of fire turning in the sky, to the hush that comes before the throne begins to move, to the wheel within the wheel, whose motion is a memory, whose flame is a prayer, whose turning never ends, because he chose to become the floor of heaven. And now the throne rests upon his obedience. There are sacrifices no altar can hold. They do not bleed, they do not burn, they become. Heaven does not measure such things in incense or offering, but in silence, weighty, holy silence, the kind that echoes for eternity and never fades. This was the sacrifice of the angel who became a wheel. He gave no speech, he offered no resistance. He simply allowed glory to remake him, not into something lesser, but into something deeper. And still, the heavens waited. In the turning of this wheel, this once angel, now fire there, is a pattern that speaks to every soul, not in language, but in recognition, for every soul will come to the edge of surrender, to the line where identity is consumed and only purpose remains, where the voice falls still, where movement ceases, where all that's left is yes, and when that yes is given, the fire comes, and it does not destroy, it rewrites, and the soul that accepts it becomes not what it dreamed, but what it was destined to become from the beginning. And this angel, he was destined to carry the throne, to become the wheel. And still, the heavens waited. Not all in heaven ascend in song. Some descend in silence, not in shame, but in service. The angel who became the wheel did not fall like the watchers. He did not rise like the seraphim. He turned, and in his turn, a new form was born. He became circumference. He became a flame. He became the place where glory rests and the eyes that never close. The fire did not ask. The fire was invited, and he said yes. And now he turns, forever. And still, the heavens waited. And what of us? Do we not also stand at the edge of such fire? Do we not feel the pull of transformation, not forced, but holy, to become something we never imagined, not for glory, but to carry it, not for honor, but for obedience? Is not every act of surrender a small wheel turning? Is not every whispered yes an echo of that great becoming? When we yield, the fire draws near. When we let go, the shape begins to shift. When we trust, the Spirit moves. And when the Spirit moves, the wheels turn. And somewhere in that turning is the one who once bore wings and now bears the throne. And still, the heavens waited. He is not lesser for having become a wheel. He is more, because he is closer to the holy than ever before, closer than song, closer than sword, closer than silence itself. He is the foundation of movement, the breath of obedience carved into form. He is the mystery that heaven does not speak of, but always honors. And every time the throne descends, every time judgment begins, every time glory rides, he is there, turning, burning, beholding, the angel who became the wheel. Not because he fell, but because he bowed. He bowed so low, he vanished, not into darkness, but into fire. He did not become forgotten, he became the foundation. And now, whenever the heavens begin to stir, whenever the Spirit prepares to move across the silence again, It is his motion that begins the rhythm. He is the first to turn, the ancient yes, the silent surrender that gave shape to thunder. And still the heavens waited. He no longer remembers his own voice, but the flame remembers it for him. Every turning of his ring is a remembrance of that single moment when he gave himself to the will of the holy, not to be lifted, but to be lowered, to become the base, the bearer, the quiet beneath the roar, and the throne was pleased. Because the throne does not rest on pride. It rests upon what yields. It rests upon what listens. It rests upon what has been remade by fire. And the wheel turns still, not in pain, not at a loss, but in praise. For turning is his worship, and fire is his song, and the eyes upon his rim are his offering. And still the heavens waited. Have you not felt it? That strange, holy gravity, that quiet pull towards surrender, that call to become not greater but truer, that whisper that says, let go, and become the floor on which glory may walk. That is the call of the wheel, not to speak, not to shine, but to turn, to carry, to disappear into obedience so fully that even your name becomes a flame, and heaven sees you not as a figure, but as a function of glory, and the throne moves upon you. And still the heavens waited, for what was done once will be done again. Another soul will bow, another fire will descend, another becoming will take place, and somewhere in the unseen, another wheel will begin to turn, and the watchers will whisper, not with envy, but with awe. Because every time one surrenders like that, the pattern is repeated, the ancient circle expands, and the turning deepens, because heaven does not grow through force. Heaven grows through surrender, and surrender always burns. And still the heavens waited, and the angel, he turns. He does not speak, he has no voice now. But when the throne glides across the silence, when the glory descends upon the deep, when the eyes of the wheels gaze into 1,000 souls at once, it is because he said yes. It is because he became what none else would become, not a rebel, not a singer, but the wheel, and the wheel never stops. They will descend again, not with trumpets, not with spectacle, but with silence louder than war, with fire older than stars, with motion no eye can follow, but every soul will feel. The wheels, those ancient rings of flame, those eyes that never close will return, not in symbols, not in vision, but in presence, in weight, in truth. And the world will remember what it tried to forget. That glory rides, that the throne moves. That judgment is not a myth, it is a rhythm. And still the heavens waited. The prophets spoke of it not just of what they saw, but of what they sensed still to come. Ezekiel's sky split, but he knew it was not the final opening. Daniel saw thrones cast down and fire rolling forth like rivers, but his vision faded before the last seal broke. John, exiled on the island, saw the heavens open again. And there, in the center, amid thunder, amid glass, amid voices, were the wheels. He did not name them, but they were there, living creatures full of eyes, wheels within wheels, beneath glory and storm. And still the heavens waited. They descend not because they are summoned, they descend because the throne has begun to move. And the throne does not move unless it is time. Time for reckoning, time for revealing, time for the hidden things to burn away in the presence of eyes that cannot look away. And when the wheels come again, it will not be to warn, it will be to witness, to carry the holy into the heart of the earth, not to hover, to rest, to speak through stillness, and the world will tremble. Because when the wheels descend, there is no place to hide. Not under the mountains, not behind crowns, not beneath the skin, they descend into the soul. And still the heavens waited. The signs are already forming. The thunder behind the veil grows louder. The patterns in the stars speak ancient syllables. The earth groans with memory, and those who listen not with ears but with spirit they know. Something is approaching, something with eyes, something with fire, something that does not explain but reveals. And it will not come with an explanation, it will come with weight. The weight of all that has been seen, and all that must be judged, and all that will be made new, and the wheels will turn again, not in vision, but in presence. And still the heavens waited. Are you ready? Not to understand, but to stand, to feel the gravity of glory, to see yourself reflected in the eyes of a wheel that has never stopped watching, to hear the voice of flame that does not speak in language, but in unveiling, to stand beneath the throne as it settles upon the shoulders of obedience, to know that the time of waiting is ending, to know that the turning has begun. They will not come as you expect. There will be no great parade, no chariots of gold, no voices raised in song before them. When the wheels descend again, they will not ask permission. They do not knock, they arrive. And when they arrive, the soul will remember what it forgot, the moment it entered flesh, that heaven is not still, that glory does not sleep, that the throne of the Most High rides on living fire, and that fire has eyes, and those eyes have seen you, always. And still the heavens waited. Their arrival is not like a storm, though storms will follow. It is not like thunder, though thunder will answer them. It is the weight of light returning to a world that has been called darkness wisdom. It is the sound of silence, cracking open the illusions of kings and children alike. It is the rhythm of judgment, long delayed, now unfolding. And yet they do not come in anger, they come in truth, because the earth cannot be healed by lies. And when the wheels descend, truth will no longer be debated. It will be embodied, it will burn, and it will burn beautifully. And still the heavens waited. Imagine it, if your spirit dares, a sky that splits not by storm, but by presence, not a vision, not a dream, but it's real. The wheels, alive with fire and memory, descending in rings of sight and silence, the eyes upon them, numbering beyond count, fixing not on mountains or temples or towers, but on hearts, on yours. And you will feel it, not with nerves, with soul. A holy weight pressing gently but undeniably against your being, not to crush, to awaken. And in that awakening, a question, one that cannot be spoken, only known. Are you ready to be seen? Are you ready to be remembered? Are you ready to become what you were before forgetting? And still, the heavens waited. The descent of the wheels is not a threat, it is a threshold. It is the crossing between what was allowed to remain hidden and what must now be known. It is the door through which the king rides not with legions, but with fire, not with noise, but with seeing. And that seeing is the beginning of the new. Because when the wheels rest, the throne rests. And when the throne rests, nothing stays the same. The land changes, the sky changes, the soul changes, and in that change is the mercy we have long forgotten how to name. And still, the heavens waited. Somewhere now, perhaps even above you, the wheels are already turning, slowly, deliberately, eyes wide open, rings begin to glow with the breath of return. They do not rush, they do not hesitate. They come when the time is full, and that fullness is near. You feel it, don't you? The world is tipping. The silence grew heavy, the visions rising in those who still listen. The whisper in the night that says, prepare. It is not a metaphor. It is not imagination. It is the echo of motion in heaven. It is the sound of a throne drawing near, and the wheels that carry it, they are almost here. The ancient ones knew. Though they carved no images, though they sang no names aloud, they knew the weight of divine presence. They saw it not with eyes but with trembling. When the fire fell upon the mountain, when the ground groaned beneath the footfall of the eternal, they knew the wheels were near. And they bowed, not out of fear, but recognition. For when the wheels descend, all things return to their place. Order is restored, and the veil things, and still the heavens waited. The descent of the wheels is not a spectacle for crowds. It is not lightning for the skies. It is intimacy. It is the meeting of presence with memory, of witness with fulfillment, of flame with the altar. And what is burned is not merely impurity. It is a pretense, masks, performances. Everything that does not align with the throne must either bow or break. And yet, mercy burns in the center, because the throne that comes is not empty. It is seated, and the one who sits is not silent. He knows your name. He remembers the fire you've hidden, the light you thought had gone out, the turning of your heart when no one saw, the tears in the night when even prayer had no voice. The wheels saw, they did not speak, but they turned, and in their turning, they carried your memory, and now they return. And still, the heavens waited. They come not to take. They come to reveal, to show what always was, beneath the rubble and noise, to uncover the image that was never lost, only buried, to restore the soul's alignment to glory's weight. And they do it without violence. They do it with their eyes. A gaze that cannot be denied, a gaze that does not threaten. It remembers, and remembrance is fire, and fire restores, and still the heavens waited. You see, the descent of the wheels is not the end of things, it is the beginning. It is the closing of the long silence between the throne and the world. It is the return of what has never truly left. The wheels do not bring a new truth, they bring the original one, the first light, the breath that hovered, the spirit that moved before time had a name. And they do not bring it with pride, they bring it with presence, and presence is everything. And still, the heavens waited. The world prepares in chaos, but heaven prepares in quiet. No one will be ready in the ways they expect. There will be no trumpets in the sky, only fire on the earth, only the sound of eyes turning, only the hush of glory returning to its resting place. And when it comes, there will be no time to prepare. There will only be time to remember what you are, to remember who watches you still, to remember the name in the book beneath the flame, to remember that your soul was made not for fear, but for fire, not to run, but to rise. And the wheels descend to awaken that memory, to open that page, to lift that name, and to carry it back into the center, into the presence, into the throne. And the turning will not stop, and the fire will not fade, because the time has come, and the throne is near. And when they settle, when the wheels, burning with ancient light, finally rest upon the earth, it will not be an ending, but a beginning. For the fire they carry is not finality, but foundation. It will not scream nor crush, it will whisper. And the whisper will be heard not by ears but by bones. It will say, "The time is now." Not the time of nations, not the time of kings, but the time of truth. The time when silence is broken, not by sound, but by presence. And still the heavens waited. There will be no stage for this descent, no trumpets blast to fill the skies with spectacle, only a stillness that stops the wind, a heaviness that bends the light, and the ancient sound of a wheel turning soft, vast, impossible, and eyes, so many eyes, not watching to accuse, watching to restore, because what they see, they recognize, and what they recognize, they call back. And what they call back returns, even the lost, even the hidden, even the forgotten, especially the forgotten, for the wheels do not forget. They have turned across time, carrying memory like fire carries warmth. They have circled beneath the throne, bearing the names that earth buried, and now they descend to speak them aloud, and still the heavens waited. And what will become of the world? It will burn, not in destruction, but in clarity. The false things will fall away. The illusions will melt like wax in the breath of presence, and what remains will be what always was, the image, the spark, the song that no storm could silence. And it will rise like gold from the furnace, like a voice from long silence, like a soul finally remembered, and the wheels will witness it. Their eyes will shine, not with judgment but with joy, the joy of recognition, of return, of wholeness, and still the heavens waited. You may wonder, how will I know when they come? But you already feel it, don't you? In the ache behind beauty, in the longing that words can't reach, in the moments of stillness that feel too heavy for time. In the tears you cry without knowing why. Those are the wheels, turning inside you, calling the throne home, and soon they will come in full, not in vision, in truth. They will not ask who you became. They will ask if you remembered who you are. And if you did, the fire will not consume you. It will crown you. It will clothe you. It will welcome you back into the circle that never stopped turning, and the throne will settle upon your silence. And you will burn, not with pain, but with presence. And still, the heavens wait. There will come a moment when even the wheels grow still, not because they are weary, not because they cease to burn, but because the throne will no longer need to move, because it will have arrived, and the last turning will begin, not with fire, but with silence, a silence not born of absence, but of completion. And still the heavens waited. In that final breath, before the end of time, before the veil is lifted and the eyes of the wheels close for the first time, not in sleep, but in fulfillment, everything will hold its breath. The stars, the angels, the saints, and the stones. Because this is the silence before the final voice, the voice that once spoke, "Let there be," the voice that parted sea from sky, bone from dust, covenant from curse. That voice will speak again, but not with thunder, not with flame, with stillness. And the wheels will stop, not in failure, in reverence, because what they carried has settled, what they turned for has been revealed, and what they remembered has now been restored. And still the heavens waited. All prophecy leads to this hush. All visions turn toward it. It is not the silence of void, it is the silence of presence, when all things that must be said have been lived, when the book beneath the wheels has been read, when every name has either risen in flame or faded in shadow, when the last soul has remembered its first breath. The wheels will turn one final time, and then they will rest. And still the heavens waited. No prophet has seen this moment. No vision has dared to describe it, because it cannot be shown, only entered, only passed through, like a gate made of memory, like a door without hinges, like light so full the song of glory returned to its center, of time fulfilled, of fire at peace, and the wheels will know, and the eyes upon them will close, not in blindness, but in trust, and the turning will cease. Not because the throne is gone, because the throne is everywhere. There are endings that feel like loss, and there are endings that feel like a return. The last turning is not a closing, it is a homecoming. Not a descent into shadow, but a rising into fullness. The wheels have turned through every age, carrying judgment, bearing memory, burning with names, but when they turn for the last time, they will not carry wrath, they will carry rest. They will carry the throne to its final dwelling, not upon a mountain, not within a temple, but within the heart of the world. And still the heavens waited, for the throne was never meant to stay distant. It rode upon the storm, yes. It split the sky in visions and fire. But its desire has always been nearness, to dwell again where it once walked in the cool of the garden, beside the breath of man. And the wheels, who have circled that longing since the beginning, will turn toward it, one last time. And the fire will descend not as a sword, but as a kiss. And still the heavens waited. The prophets will fall silent. Their scrolls are complete. The singers will cease their holy cries, not because the praise has ended, but because the praise has been fulfilled. The cherubim will lower their swords. The seraphim will fold their wings. The book will close, its last name spoken, and the eyes of the wheels, those endless witnesses of all glory and grief, will close too, not to forget, but because nothing more must be seen. Everyone has come home. And still the heavens waited. The fire does not need to burn when all is light. The motion does not need to carry when all is present. The wheels, who turned through rebellion and flood, through ascent and descent, through silence and song, they will now turn into stillness, into peace. And in that stillness, the whisper of God will be heard again. The whisper that has always spoken behind every thunder. It is done, not in exhaustion, but in joy. And still the heavens waited. The last turning is not for the world alone. It is for you. It is for the flame inside you that has followed the pattern of the wheel, that has burned quietly, turning toward truth. It is for the eye within you that has never closed, that has watched the heavens and wept for something it could not name. You were made for the last turn, to stand in the center, not afraid, to open your soul like a scroll and let the fire read every word, to say, yes, I remember. And the throne will not pass you by. It will rest, and you will rest with it. And the wheel within you will stop, not because it is finished, but because it is finally whole. And what remains, when the wheels no longer turn, not emptiness, not absence, not the echo of what once was. What remains is everything. What was once scattered returns to the center. What was broken finds its shape again. What fled from the fire learns it was never chased, it was always called. The throne will not rise again. It will not need to. It will dwell within, among them, throughout. And the fire will not be distant. It will be breath. And the eyes of the wheels, which once turned to watch kings rise and fall, wars, rage, and silence weep, they will no longer see sorrow. They will close in peace. And still the heavens waited. Do you remember how it began? A wheel within a wheel, eyes upon rings, fire enfolding fire, a throne above the firmament, a voice too holy to name, and a prophet who fell on his face in the dirt. He could not stand, because glory had arrived. And now, the final prophet will rise. Because glory has stayed, the silence will not be empty. It will be alive. It will be the sound of all being restored, of time folding inward like a scroll, of judgment kissed by mercy, of eyes closing not to forget but to rest. And still the heavens waited. All things that move must return. All breath drawn must be exhaled. The circle must complete, and the wheels know this. They were not made for endless wandering. They were made to carry the throne until the throne finds its home. And when it does, they settle. Their fire sinks into the ground, not in defeat, but in fusion. Their memory seeps into the soul of the world and becomes song. And their silence becomes the temple, not one built with hands, but with presence. And still the heavens waited. You may wonder, will I see them? Yes, but not with your eyes, with your being. You will feel them as a stillness too deep to name. You will hear them in the quiet between your thoughts. You will know them in the moment when you no longer fear being seen, when you no longer need to run. When the throne has come to you, not on clouds, but on flame within your own chest, then you will know. The wheels have turned for the last time. The fire has come home, and you are no longer waiting. You are the dwelling, and the silence is not around you. It is you. And so, the last turning fades not into darkness, but into light too whole to move. For there is a light that does not cast shadow, a flame that no longer burns because all has been refined. This is the end of movement, not as stopping, but as arrival. And in that arrival, the wheels become one with what they carried, no longer beneath the throne, no longer beside the throne, but part of the throne, joined in stillness, resting in fire, alive in peace, and still the heavens waited. But now, it is no longer heaven that waits. It is a man, because the veil has lifted, the flame has settled, the book is closed, and the name your name is spoken without sound, yet heard in every corner of what now is. The earth is no longer separate from the throne, the heart no longer wanders from its home, the wheels no longer turn through storms and dust. They shine now, unmoving, eternal, like eyes that have seen all and finally blink in wonder. The silence that fills the heavens is not stillness. It is a song, but not songs with melody. It is the song of being, of breath, of presence. And still the heavens waited, but you do not, because the waiting is over. You stand now where prophets only dreamed, not as a guest, but as a flame. You do not hear thunder. You are the hush between thunder and its echo. You are the calm beneath the wings. You are the stillness beneath the throne. Because you have remembered, because you have returned, because you have become. And in this becoming, the last veil tears not in violence, but in joy. The joy of a journey that ends in fire and begins in silence. The joy of a name that no longer needs to be spoken, because it is lived. And the wheels, still and shining, bear witness without turning. They no longer need to move, because everything that was far is now near, and everything that was waiting is now home. And still the heavens waited until now, because the last turning has turned, the last flame has fallen, the last name has risen, and the last silence has begun. It is not the end. It is the return to the center, where the throne always was, where the fire always burned, where the eyes always watched, where the soul always belonged, where the wheels have finally rested. And here, in this silence, there is no need to ask, what comes next? Because the answer is not given, it is known, and it burns forever.